It's Dumb Guy Live. We're here. It's Wrestle Kingdom week. She dumb my guy till it's live. Thank you, Trav. I appreciate it. Yeah, Jamie, how's it going?
Trav's the only good guy from Manchester.
Facts.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. We got another big show lined up. Wrestle Kingdom review. Very good show. Controversial. Wrestle Kingdom good.
I know. Yeah.
Some big Stardom match. Yeah, big Stardom match. Big Stardom news. And yeah, should be a good show. I'm feeling good. Mate, what about you?
Well, fresh on being signed to WWE, we got Lee Fitting on the show. So
oh yeah,
I didn't know you were a pro fan.
My name's Lee Fitting. I got signed by WWE. I worked at ESPN during the John Skipper years, so I may or may not be a bit of a freak. But we'll just not talk about that. Wrestle Kingdom is Wrestle Kingdom, man. It's like Christmas. When you wake up at 3 a.m. and you just hear like it's just like you get a sense of euphoria that just doesn't exist in anything else. Like I'm not 5 years old, so WrestleMania doesn't make me feel like that. I mean, there's so many goddamn AEW pay-per-views these days that like nothing really matters anymore. But E10 Yawn is different, bro. Like it's just different. It was I thought it was a pretty good show. But there were some pretty bad parts early on. We'll talk about it. But no, it was a good week, and it was the good golden week of professional wrestling in Japan.
Well, Lee, check this out. Tell me if you like how this sounds. I was with your girl last night, but unfortunately, it was barely fitting. So I had to.
That's a teacher right there. He probably said that joke to his students, and they laughed out of the room. AKA told him to no, Mr. Klein, no. But it's okay because E10 Yawn, we're talking about it. Even if he does bad, if the shoe fits.
It was okay. Más o menos. Okay, let's review a freaking show, shall we? First of all, before we do that, we have a $4.99 super chat from Darn Tasamo. Big match Mayu is top 5 all time. Matches with Kagetsu, Momo, Io Shirai, Utami. The list goes on. Oh man, we're gonna get to that. But Jamie, I mean, I assume you feel the same way I did. That Shirai match was just out of this world. It was incredible.
Yes, it was. It's possibly my second favorite match of the week, and it bordered on topping it this week. I mean, we'll get to what clocks in at number 1. I'm sure everyone's pretty aware, but Mayu Iwatani, I think, is the best women's wrestler of all time. Shuri is easily one of the best wrestlers in the world as well. She's right up there. When they're both on it, it's incredible. They never miss. So putting them together is, it was easy.
We got Anjan. He always manages to adds this to some kind of lyric or something like that. It's yeah.
Anjan's a top 5 account on Twitter. I love Anjan.
And then he corrected it. He added dumb guy instead of anti-hero at the end. It is exhausting always rooting for the dumb guy. We're kind of the underdogs in the scene. But yeah, whatever. Murph just apologized for saying my shoot name and said you're like Starlight Kid, which is pretty funny. I don't know. I was gonna make a joke about that, but I feel like people would get mad at me. So whatever. Anyway, let's review Wrestle Kingdom, shall we? We're gonna go from the bottom of the card. We're gonna go bottom up. We're gonna talk about. We don't really need to talk about the pre-show, like the final 4 in the Rambo were Okan, Ishimori, Yano, and Yo, and then Ishimori won it the next night at New Year's Dash. Like that title doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care.
Can I say 2 points about the Rambo?
Oh yeah. We can talk about Fujita probably. Yeah.
Fujita Jr. Hayato, bro, in the fucking Rambo. It's probably his last big appearance before he goes back. Good luck to him for his cancer treatment. And I was like, I had waited for a second. I was like, who is this? And then I heard some reggae in the background. I was like, oh, who could this be other than Fujita Jr. Hayato? So it made me very happy. And then also Iizuka, bro. Holy shit.
Iizuka, yeah. He's so jacked. Like,
why is he jacked?
Yeah, like he's been just like hitting the gym all the time since he retired. That's all he does, I guess. He's
My question is, why wasn't he on a leash? I like when used to have a leash.
Yeah, he should have come out with Tai Chi and had him on a leash where he was like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah," but he did some Tai Chi stuff. He was good.
And then also Yo was like being weird. I don't know what was Yo's deal in this match.
Yo's a goofball. Yo's like, I really need to have a character, otherwise they won't push
Yo
me.
he was like dressing like a Jimmy. It was like kind of weird. He was like Jimmy Yo. He's Jimmy Yo. Hey. Oh.
All right. Kicking off the main card, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championships, we had the Bullet Club War Dogs defending against Catch 22. This was Catch 22 came out with some interesting gear. TJP had a mask on the entire time. I don't know the like lore behind it. I think it's something that has to do with like Filipino culture, something like that. I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me on that, but yeah, I thought this was really solid. It was only like 9 minutes, but yeah, it was just good wrestling. I like both of these teams, and the United Empire team won the titles.
Yeah, not too much more about solid. Fiend TJP is not something I was ready for, but you know, it's whatever.
The fact of the matter is TJP used to come out in a hypebeast outfit and do dabs, and I thought he couldn't look like many more of a geek. And then he does this. And I was like, Jesus Christ. There's some wrestlers that can do lore characters. TJ Perkins has never been on the top of my list personally. You know, I think he's a great wrestler. I think TJP is a phenomenal wrestler who does not get the credit he deserves. But, you know, stick to being TJP. This is cool. I understand it's for your culture, but, like, take the hint. You know, be TJP. I think him and Akira is a pretty good team. I'm a big fan of Joe Maloney and Clark Connors. I hope they continue with New Japan with the news that's coming out, you know. But, no, yeah, it was a good opener, but, you know, I can do without the As Wang.
The As Wang. I thought it was all right. I thought it was cool. Just like a big, you know, big show thing. New Japan Television title. Sabre, after holding it for a full calendar year, Zack Sabre Jr. finally lost the title to the newly christened president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who won the championship here in this match in under 9 minutes. A very quick match, but I thought very fun for its length.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. I remember saying last week the newly crowned president Tanahashi belting himself up at Wrestle Kingdom would be awesome. It was, you know, this is wrestling, you know. Newly promoted in a very high political position, you got to give yourself a belt at the biggest show of the year. And the match was really good, as expected. I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. is the best in-ring technician in the world, yeah, and obviously Tanahashi, I think, is going to benefit massively from this being, you know, TV champion. I think the 15-minute time limit is going to be quite kind to his current mobility. So allowing him to just kind of wrestle, you know, some undercard wrestling, then eventually maybe put over a younger guy. I think that's the perfect spot for him right now. President's got 2 belts. I'm happy. Zack Sabre Jr. can move up the card. This was a success.
This reminded me a lot of when Kenny Omega lost to Kushida at Wrestle Kingdom. It was 2016 one. Wrestle Kingdom. What was that? Wrestle Kingdom 10. Because Kenny Omega losing to Kushida didn't mean that Kenny Omega was going down. He lost to Kushida and became a heavyweight the next day. This reminded me of that. I think Zack Sabre Jr. is going to have to step up with Ospreay, Jay White, you know, all the foreign heels gone. And, you know, the uncertainty on whether they can get the foreign names. I mean, they've gotten 2 big foreign names in the last week. But, you know, the yen is down. You have to be honest about it. But Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be in a great spot. And I enjoyed this match. It was a good little piece of business. And Tanahashi as champion's a great thing.
Will start to be a little bit of a broken record. The story of the early part of this show, it was reminiscent of, I think, 2019, where it was quick matches and lots of titles. In fact, every single title that was up for grabs changed hands. So we had another example of a quick match that was for what it was when Yuya Uemura pulled up what we think is a bit of an upset over Yota Tsuji. I believe at least 2 of us picked Tsuji to win this match last week when we did our preview, but it was Uemura picking the win in what I thought was a good match. I think these 2 match up so well. Great contrast in their styles and everything like that. I love that Tsuji's the creator wrestler. and Uemura he still frankly wrestles like a young lion. It's very simple, but he gets the most does, and I thought this was a really good match, and I was surprised and intrigued by Uemura picking up the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot as well. This is another success in my opinion. Tsuji, kind of as expected, took most of this, kind of led this match a little bit. Uemura is still kind of getting the the impact stink off him gradually, but I think this one went a long way in doing so. He's got some really good arm drags. I saw a lot of people praising his arm drags. That's one of his big skills there, and he showed that in this match. And I think he's just as kind of just his general in-ring work. I think he's got the potential to be the best out of the lot. Just kind of like doing the kind of the basics of wrestling better than the other guys he's kind of in the mix with. Tsuji obviously is the most exciting of all of them, and I think I was kind of disappointed he didn't get the big Wrestle Kingdom win, but at the same time I'm pretty confident that both of these guys are going to have good 2024s. So it was a big statement win for Yuya, who I think definitely needed one, and yeah, this was another success.
There was a lot I liked about this match and a lot I did not like. I'll say what I liked first. I thought Yuya Uemura showed the most charisma that he's shown since he came back. I think he came as like he played up to the dome. And Tsuji, he's the guy. He's the complete package. I am a big fan of Yota Tsuji. And now for the bad. This was not the place to do the Uemura upset, in my opinion. I don't think he's ready. Personally, I think he needs a little bit more time, grinding. I think Tsuji should have won here, and that's not even saying because I like Tsuji more. I don't think the impact of this win like hammered it in as much because I don't think Uemura is there yet. If you do it at Dominion, I think Uemura might be there by now, but I just don't think Uemura is ready to be in the conversation. Like Tsuji challenged for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Uemura, in my opinion, is like a year away from that at least. So it was a good match, but it was not the right place to do the upset yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously they're doing the rematch and they're doing that. I think to me, this is just presenting that they're even Stevens, that they're on the same playing field. And I think that the idea is that you elevate Uemura through that because Tsuji's been pushed as a pretty big deal. So that's at least my interpretation of it. But yeah, we'll see. Obviously, like you alluded to, we're getting the rematch here in a month, so we'll see what they go there. I assume Tsuji will get his win back there. Next, we had the House of Torture, everyone's favorite stable, christened the worst stable of all time. I actually thought this match was like kind of okay considering what it was, but it was Evil and Ren Narita against Shota Umino and Kaito Kiyomiya. And the really disappointing part, the annoying part of the match was the result. I felt with Evil winning out of all the four guys in the match, Evil is the one who won. And not only that, it leads to so many more things with he's now springboarded himself to a never open weight title challenge against Tama Tonga, which just sounds horrible. But anyway, I genuinely thought the match was okay. I thought the House of Torture versus Kaito, Shota, and Friends match from the Noah show was much better than this one. But I didn't think it was like atrocious or anything. I just think I'm just like so fucking sick of Evil and don't want him on my screen anymore.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the result was kind of expected following the Noah result. I think House of Torture were always going to get their win back. I would have definitely preferred Ren Narita getting the win. I think he's definitely the one on that side that could have used it a lot more. And then obviously, as Parker said, the kind of result and title challenge from Evil is very spooky. Could be a lot of House of Torture and God shenanigans there. But I think the main takeaway from this match was Shota Umino is a big star. His entrance was big. I mean, every time he's on the big stage, he feels like he's ready to kind of like step into the forefront of New Japan, and this was another one. So yeah, the result wasn't ideal, but I think there are a few things to take from this one in a positive sense.
There were two positive things about this match for me. Kaito Kiyomiya having a big entrance and Shota Umino having the best entrance on the show. I liked it more than the Okada entrance, personally. I thought an LED light, not very entertaining. But, that's for a later thing. But you see, Shota Umino came out on a motorcycle, and Shota Umino went into Noah He's the most over guy on the card, and Noah. Everyone has the fucking sticks that he plays, that he carries around at Noah, and he comes here and he's the most over guy. Shota Umino is the guy, and I remember Monty said the question to rank these 6 Japanese wrestlers. Shota Umino is at the top of my list by far. And now the rest of the match. I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not watch the rest of this match. I thought it was terrible. When the moment that what's it called? I don't know who it was, started ringing the bell. That's when I was like, okay, I'm done. Enjoy, but that's not for me. So, if you like House of Torture, maybe you'll enjoy it. But, I like the entrances, and then I was like, okay, that's enough for me.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of House of Torture versus like New Japan main unit over the next month, which is not not for me.
No.
However, maybe I'm hoping that maybe Umino and Narita can have something interesting together. I do think Narita is carrying the House of Torture stuff better than most, because he comes across as like a fucking freak. Like, he's got that weird like smile on his face. He's got the mouth guard. And he just looks like insane. And so I kind of like in the elimination match the night before, he like choked out in a pretty brutal way and was like singularly focused on Shota. I think that led to like a good story that like Narita has been one step behind Shota since they came back from excursion, and now he's set his sights on beating him. So I actually think that's kind of okay. It's just fucking everything else about House of Torture is just inexcusably bad. So yeah, I don't want to talk anymore about them. Let's move on. We had what I thought was the first great match on the show. I knew it would be. Some people were skeptical about Tama Tonga. Nah. When you got Shingo in there, it was going to be great. The Never Openweight Championship, Tama Tonga beat Shingo Takagi in 14 minutes, and this was just a classic Never Openweight match. Quick, hard-hitting, back and forth, big moves, throwing bombs all over the place. It was just awesome. I loved it. I was surprised by the title change, and I'm even more surprised and puzzled based on a report that we got about Tama Tonga that, Jamie, you can get into in a second. But just in the match itself, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Shingo is so fucking good. We're so lucky, genuinely, to have him and to be able to watch him on a monthly basis, especially when he's given these big singles matches. I can't wait for the match against Taichi next month. That's going to be great. But yeah, this was the first great match on this year's Wrestle Kingdom card.
Absolutely agreed. Shingo Takagi is what a wrestler. I said that last week when we were doing the preview. I don't think he had too much of a busy 2023. I would definitely like him to be more prominent this year. Him losing the belt doesn't bode well for that so far. But hopefully, I mean, he's got a big match coming up this weekend, so I'm sure he's going to get off to a good start following from this one. But yeah, this was good. I mean, like you say, Shingo Takagi is an insane wrestler. So subbing anyone in who's like not a total shitter is going to get a good match. Tama Tonga, I think, is a pretty good wrestler, and especially when the crowd's there for him. We talk about him as a babyface following his Bullet Club exit. I think he's really come into his own, and this was probably one of his best since leaving Bullet Club, or kind of all career for Tama Tonga. I think this was a real kind of showcase for him here, and a very surprising title change. Not something a lot of people were hoping for after Shingo just recently picked up the belt. And then, afterwards we get in the the post show, we get Tama Tonga announcing that he's leaving New Japan, which seemingly was also something that Gedo wasn't aware of when he made the decision. So very interesting. I'm not 100% convinced that it's not like a work of some sort. That he's gonna end up staying, like he'll be evil and he'll be like, I'm staying. I love New Japan, something like that. But that got a bit of a mixed reception. I know a lot of people aren't big fans of Tama, but yeah, I'd be sad to see him go. But yeah, this was a good match, a very good match for Tama. But the booking is interesting.
I'm gonna say something crazy. I was actually impressed by Tama Tonga here. Usually I'm not, but you see, I was actually invested. And then all the work he did throughout the match just went absolutely away when he said afterwards, I'm leaving New Japan. Like, get the fuck out of here. You just won the belt. You had a nice babyface run. You go to the press conference, you go, I'm leaving New Japan? Are you shitting me? Like Shingo's the best. Anybody can have a. You see, there's a difference between Shingo having a good match with anyone, and then Shingo actually having a good match with a good wrestler. And Tomo was actually a good wrestler here, so I enjoyed the match. And then he gave away all the goodwill afterwards. You know, that's life, I guess. But you know, it was a good match. It's not gonna be the best match that Shingo has this month, considering Shingo, if you don't know, is facing Masaki Mochizuki tomorrow
Yes.
morning in Japan. If you're a Japanese wrestling fan, you need to find or watch that match somehow because they had a 5-star singles match a couple years ago. And honestly, this is in Cork and Hall, so the crowd is it's gonna be even better in my opinion. But you know, it's gonna be a great match. But Shingo, it was a good piece of business. That's what I'll say.
Murph, did you get your Dragon Gate network sorted out? I really want to watch that match tomorrow.
Well, you gave me something to do after this.
Fair enough. No, I literally in like less than 12 hours, Shingo versus Misaki, what many people consider to be the greatest Dragon Gate match. I would probably if you polled people, would it be the most common choice, Murph, for best GG match of all time?
I would say so.
Yeah, it's got to be
so,
right.
bro.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable, and I really hope they get a ton of time. Like sometimes these shows for Dragon Gate, like they've years have leaned on them a lot for storytelling and less on like big time, matches. I really hope that they are given plenty of time to just go on there and put on a classic because they've already done so in the past.
I think they will. You know, it's my second favorite match of all time. There was a elimination match I preferred more, but you see, it's a good pairing, and they're gonna have a great match because to be honest with you, Shingo's gotten better since then, and Misaki Mochizuki hasn't gotten worse. So I think it'll be better in a better setting. It's in Corkin.
Wow, that's awesome. Quick super chat here from Aaron499. Would love to come on the pod one of these days and talk some Pearl with you guys. You're right now, Aaron. Shout out to all my certified dumb guys everywhere except Jimmy Kimmel. I see Aaron. We'd love to have Aaron Rodgers on the pod. There's a really see a lot of times, like I think like jokes around whatever is like popular on Twitter at a certain point is pretty dumb. But for those who don't know, there's an NFL quarterback named Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, who is also like a conspiracy theorist and like a COVID skeptic and people like that. And so he goes on Pat McAfee's podcast, which is on ESPN, like it's on the most popular sports network in America. And he alleges that Jimmy Kimmel was on Epstein's Island. Jimmy Kimmel, a very popular TV host here in the States. And so that's the reference there. But anyway, I saw a tweet today that was like, it was like AJ Hawk, who's like the guest on the Pat McAfee show, who's an NFL, and he's just like he looks really, he just like sits there like this the entire time and doesn't really interject when they're going at it. And he looks like an Easter Island head sometimes. So I thought that was
it's true.
Yeah.
And when he says something, it's the most ridiculous CT stuff that like makes no sense.
Yeah, he's got so much CT. It's pretty.
And then
it's pretty cool. It's pretty based, in my opinion. But no, thank you so much, Aaron. We appreciate it. I agree with everything you've ever said.
Aaron, all right, you do a podcast with a Pittsburgher on ESPN. You know, you can do a podcast with a Pittsburgher.
Yeah, Yins can come on the show. Mavs fan 84, super reliable, super chatter here for us. Shingo in the States next month. Book him, TK. Yeah, I'm sure Murph would love that. I'm sure that would be.
I'd love that.
We saw him at Forbidden Door in 2021.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Too bad I don't like that company anymore. All right. We appreciate it, Mavs fan. Thank you so much. Let's move on to. Oh, we're back. We're back to God with Hikuleo and El Phantasmo unifying the tag team titles, winning the IWGP tag team titles from Bishamon, and then of course retaining the strong titles in a match that I just didn't care about. I just can't care about these guys. No matter like the match, they're not bad or anything. They're just like, I don't know. I really can't bring myself to care. I've never been that big of a fan of Phantasmo and Hikuleo. You know, he had a couple sloppy moments in this match, and it's just like, I don't know. They're like, why is it not the War Dogs? Why is it not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Suji and Shingo, or why is it not, you know, Shota and like an old guy or something like that? You know what I mean? It's boring. But I don't know. I know Jamie's also not a big fan of this this God team, but what'd you think?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we saw that the tag league match was like, you know, overindulgent would be an understatement. It was far too long, and that, you know, as you say, I'm not a big fan of the God team. I don't think they've kind of got the most insane, you know, diverse in ring work to produce something different after kind of pretty much showing everything they had in that first instance. So a more condensed title match, whilst obviously, you know, it didn't go too long to the extent the first one did. They didn't really have anything else to kind of show here. You know, I was pretty content with the tag league final just kind of being it, and then maybe putting a different team in here. But you know, unifies the tag titles. I don't know whether we are moving towards unifying the strong belts. It certainly feels like it, but I know that God are only defending the strong belts at Battle in the Valley, and the Continental Crown thing is being defended in kind of a weird fashion as well. So they're not unified in quite the, you know, the sense that I'd like at the moment. But, you know, yeah, this match wasn't really for me. It was kind of a skippable one if you're not someone who's going to watch the show the whole way through. But yeah, a title change is what it is.
While you two are talking, I was thinking of something to say about this match, and I genuinely have nothing. It was just boring.
Parker's on mute.
I got nothing to say.
Thank you, Jamie-san. Yeah, I don't know. There's just not a... New Japan hasn't cared about this heavyweight tag division in a long time. I thought it was funny that they referenced Naito and Sonata being tag champs together a few years ago, which I like completely forgot about in leading into the main event on this show. But yeah, it's just not their priority. Which is readily. But if it's not your priority, then like put it on like Kaito and Oiwa or something like that. You know what I mean? Like at least put it on somebody who's kind of like interesting. If you don't want to like push some people, but you want to give them on your shows, like you obviously want to with Kaito, then do that. But I don't know.
Yeah, before we move away from this match, I want to point out something that it didn't actually link to this match, but it did happen at this point in the show. So just before this match kicks off,
oh yeah,
pan to the crowd, and I'm like, what's, you know, something's about to happen here, and out walks, you know, Nick Nemeth, formerly Dolph Ziggler of WWE, but he's also joined by Ryan Nemeth of AEW. So considering the placement on the card, I was fully ready for post-match the Nemeths to kind of insert themselves into
I'd be fine with that. Man,
I was ready for it. I don't love Ryan Nemeth. I think he's
I'd love that.
He's whatever, you know. But you know, Nick Nemeth in New Japan is pops me a lot. But we'll get to where he actually kind of inserts himself, and I'm a lot more excited about the prospect of where he's put himself instead of a tag run.
You see, Ryan Nemeth has very good opinions on CM Punk, so I'd appreciate Ryan Nemeth making a run in the New Japan Tag Division.
We had the Junior Heavyweight Championship, Hiroshi versus El Desperado. Desperado won. He finally did. Hiroshi on this show. I thought this match was really good. It was a lot different than a lot of their matches normally go. You know, these two are known for their epics with each other, right? They're for 30 plus minutes, BOSJ finals, all that type of stuff. This was a much more condensed version of that, but I thought the wrestling was just great. I think the title change was. We kind of talked about it last week. Still, just kind of rather both of these guys were heavyweights, but at the same time, I do think Desperado as champion is good. And his House of Torture, I do like his first challenger being Kanemaru, his former tag team partner, which should be at least a heated matchup, to say the least. But yeah, Jamie.
Yeah, another one I enjoyed. Again, as we said last week, this is another match on this card that felt like one we'd seen a fair bit. So I did appreciate the more condensed nature of this. I think if they went for another kind of epic style, it would have been a bit samey to what we've seen before. So I appreciate them keeping this a bit briefer, especially considering like some of the big matches we had. on this card coming up. But yeah, this is all solid stuff. Hiromu's title reign, I think earlier on was, I think it kind of tailed off towards the latter end of it. So I was kind of happy to see that come to an end, and I'm looking forward to what he does moving forward. I think there's a good chance we get a IWGP title match. And I think I think Hiromu could possibly beat Evil for a Never Openweight Championship if Evil sends Tama back in, which I would like to see. That's a move to make for Hiromu if you don't want to fully commit to him being a heavyweight. You give him the Openweight title. I think it's pretty safe. But yeah, it was solid stuff. Nothing too crazy from what we've already seen from these two. And happy for Desperado getting a big Wrestle Kingdom moment.
It was a fun match. I agree that both should be heavyweights, but New Japan Junior Division still pretty ass. But Desperado's the right guy to be holding it right now.
Well, it's weird because they have a couple guys like Watto and Titan, of course, in the finals of Best of the Super Juniors last year. They have Catch 2-2, they have the War Dogs, they have and they had the All-Star 2 last year, and they have a robust enough division where it feels like they could get rid of Hiromu and Desperado and still make it okay, but yeah, I don't know. It's clearly not their plan right now. So I thought the final 3 matches on this show were all out of this world. I thought they were all fantastic. One of the better 3-match stretches in recent memory for me. Starting things off, to crown IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion, we had a 3-way Ospreay, Jon Moxley, and David Finlay. This match was an awesome 3-way spot fest. I thought just tons of big moves, tons of drama. It kept going. It was the first match to go over 15 minutes on the show, and it went 22. So it really felt a lot more epic than anything we'd seen. I thought dynamics of the 3 wrestlers were perfect. Moxley and Ospreay were both pretty much baby faces in this match, and they took turns kind of beating down Finlay, who ultimately needed help to get the win here. But I just thought the action here was excellent, like a super thrilling match. I think I even liked it more than a lot of people did, and it's been a really 3-way match. Not happy about Finlay winning. Don't really get that. But, Jamie, we'll talk about this in a minute. Talk about the match first. I thought the post-match on this was excellent, and I'm really excited for the first defense of this global championship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love this. I think there were a lot of big concerns coming into this one for pretty obvious reason, considering the 2 guys we had in there and then, the other one. But I think this was kind of managed pretty perfectly in the way it was structured, the way the kind of dynamics were, as you pointed out. We had kind of Ospreay and Moxie with a bit of a truce early on, kind of beating the shit out of Finlay. You did call it, Merv. And I think that worked a treat. It kind of gave us a bit of space for those 2 to kind of mix it up and give them a bit of space to do the big spots. And then Finlay kind of jumped in as and when he was needed. I think Finlay, by the way, as much as we were all kind of hoping that this would be a bit of a carry job, I think Finlay actually did do, like, he held his own in there when needed be. It wasn't a complete kind of carry job in that sense. Particularly the kind of closing stretches. I know he had a bit of outside interference from the War Dogs, and that the image of Coughlin being like through the table was I love that. I love when these table spots don't fully kind of when the tables don't break traditionally.
It was perfect. Like he was knocked the hell, and the announcers are going crazy for it. They're like popping at all. So yeah, it was a great spot seeing the War Dogs go through the table.
Yeah, obviously Finlay gets his big win. As I said, that closing stretch was really well put together. I thought it was one of the better Finlay finishes I've seen, because usually it feels very kind of unimpactful and kind of very flat. This one I don't think had that. So that's a big bonus. And then obviously we get the post match. But Murph, what did you think about the match?
I love this match a lot. I think Finlay actually did a pretty good job, which is rare from him. But Finlay did well. I understand why Finlay won. He kind of had to win. 2 AEW wrestlers in Finlay, but the fact of the matter is, for me, I don't think Finlay's at that level, and I think there's other guys you could have had in the spot with the War Dogs, but, they're riding with Finlay, so they might as well. And then we'll talk about the post-match, but it's turning into a real heated program, which I'm okay with. But, Finlay did okay. Ospreay and Moxley are amazing. Ospreay's entrance was awesome. It was kind of pretty cool. I never really played Assassin's Creed growing up, but it seemed like if you like Assassin's Creed, it was pretty cool. But it was a cool entrance. It was a cool match, and wrong winner, but you understand why.
Yeah. So after the match, Finlay gets in out of everybody, Nick Nemeth's face at ringside, and they're going at it, and they start, it starts getting physical, gets heated. All right, little brawl here, and I thought it was great. Like Nemeth came a killer. People forget that he's like a shooter. He was like a college wrestler, and like a really successful one at that. So I thought Nemeth showed so much intensity and his interactions, and he was like, it felt really like high stakes with this. And so we're getting that match, which I am thrilled about. And I really, really hope that Nemeth wins it. I hope he sticks around in New Japan, because I think he could add a lot. Earlier, New Japan has lost a lot of top heavyweight talent over the last year, especially on the foreign side of things. So anytime you can get somebody as talented as Nemeth, who's done it all in WWE in the States, I think that's a good sign. I think his style, his in-ring style, fits perfectly in New Japan. So I'm stoked.
I'll interject first on this one. The fact that the thing is, people are like downplaying this as, remember Dean Ambrose's last couple months in WWE? Dean Ambrose was not coming out as a big deal. Nick Nemeth and Dolph Ziggler did just as much, if more, than Dean Ambrose did. And honestly, I feel like this should be treated as if like Moxley, because it was cool, but everyone was wondering, is this the Dean Ambrose we just saw? And he changed himself. And I think Dolph Ziggler, who's now Nick Nemeth, I think he's really going to change himself. And I don't know if he's staying in New Japan long term, or if he's doing something similar to Moxley, working New Japan and then going to AEW. But the fact of the matter is, this is a big deal. And I think he's going to do really well wherever he goes, because he's a smart guy and he's a great wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. I mean, kind of looking at when he first got released, he was one of those guys, and I was kind of trying to predict where people would land. Ziggler was one who I kind of considered he may be done with wrestling, if not for maybe a little appearance here and there. He talked about before about his, kind of not really liking wrestling, at least anymore. And I think that's probably a product of being in that WWE system for so long and, never really having the shine he deserved, considering his work rate and his level. So, when he rocked up here, I think it's such an exciting move. He's, as kind of Parker and Murph alluded to, his style is going to be perfect for New Japan. I'm interested to see, how he kind of works in there. After being in WWE for so long, when did he first get there? Was it like 2007 or something like that? He's been there for a long time.
He's been, even earlier than that. I think he's been there forever. He's the second. You joined, I think, OVW in 2004.
Dolph Ziggler's WWE career was older than me.
Yeah, so he's obviously, seeing how he's going to fit in that New Japan ring, I think it's going to be very interesting. But I have no doubt he's going to kill it in there. Me personally, I think he's way more intriguing as someone to follow, being in New Japan than heading straight to AEW. I would rather him stick around in New Japan, full start. I know Murph wants to see him over in AEW, but let's say he does go the Moxie route and he does go to AEW. This is the perfect way to do it. Because I think if he just walked into AEW, it would be kind of like, oh, he's the released WWE guy. He's kind of age. How much can he really add to this product? Should we be shining a light on some other people? Well, I think if he goes to New Japan and he feels very unique, he can kind of have the big matches, kind of prove himself elsewhere. I think either with them walking into AEW is a much better prospect for them. So regardless of whether he's with New Japan or whether he eventually jumps to AEW, I think this is the perfect first step for him. And I'm very excited to see what we get out of Nick Nemeth.
You're telling me you didn't want him with CJ Perry facing Miro coming in?
Not really.
I completely agree with you, Jamie, in that it's so difficult to wash your WWE character off of you. Like, you're synonymous with that guy. Like, he is Dolph Ziggler to so many people, right? Just like Jon Moxley was Dean Ambrose to so many people. people forget that Moxley only had that like sort of shaved head look for like a couple months before he left WWE. Like he was Dean Ambrose through and through, and he completely changed his gear and everything. You know, he doesn't wrestle in jeans anymore or anything like that. So, yeah, I think this is a great.
Remember when
great
Mox wore
opportunity
those
for him.
hokey shorts? Like they looked so dumb. When
Well,
Mox wore those
remember
shorts.
that was an accident. He like lost his gear or something, and he had to wear those, which was funny because I was such a New Japan geek at the time that I like called it. I remember watching that and I was like, "That's not his gear. He didn't. That's wrong. That's a mistake." And I was very myself for
Yeah, because I remember the first couple weeks of Dynamite, he wore those dumb shorts, and I was like, Jesus Christ! Like you're John Moxley, and you're wearing these dumb shorts. Like, you kidding me? But you know, he redeemed himself. But yeah, I never like. There
Okay.
are some people like he looks like a shooter. I'm like, no, he looks like a dork.
We had what many people were considering the most anticipated match on this show. One of the most anticipated matches in recent memory, Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan, which I thought lived up to the hype. I thought it was a very different match than their match. Very focused on Danielson being a badass like shooter and dismantling Okada from the start, really focused on the arm, just very much Danielson working on top and establishing him. There's a reason why people say he's the best wrestler in the world. Of course, it's New Japan, it's the Dome. Okada prevailed in the end with the Rainmaker, but after I thought this was a excellent, the second of three excellent matches on the show. I think this sounds nitpicky. I think I liked it a little bit less than some people did, just because I don't know. I just didn't. I thought it was fantastic, but I didn't think it was like mind-blowingly good. People seemed to like it got 5.25 Meltzer, for example. I didn't think it was quite on that level, but I thought it was great and a worthy match between these two's billing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this one. It's felt, as Omega versus Ospreay did last year, in the co-main event of Wrestle Kingdom. This felt like very, very, very special. I mean, you seeing Bryan Danielson in the Tokyo Dome is kind of a spectacle of itself, and then obviously Okada walks out and has the whole, color changing, color changing jacket with the lights and stuff. But yeah, and then the start, and I think. I think one thing I've seen a lot of people talking about with this match is it was a little briefer than people expected. I wouldn't say that's totally a bad thing about this. I think the abrupt finish kind of added to it a little bit. But I mean, it's definitely a case where they could have gone a little bit further with it. And I think with them being 1-1, kind of New Japan and AEW in a nice position where they can run this back a kind of a decider at any point they want, really, whilst Danielson's still kind of active. But the match itself, I thought was amazing. I mean, it was a very kind of simple story to tell. In that it's pretty basic of both guys targeting a body part. Obviously, Danielson going for the arm and Okada going for the eye, but they worked it amazingly. Danielson is one of the best kind of sellers in the game, and both their strikes always look very, very impactful. I think my favorite spot of the match was Okada does a very silly run up towards Danielson. He kind of jumps up on something, and then the jump was kind of meaningless, and then he charges at Danielson, and Danielson just catches him with a brutal knee, kind of out of nowhere. But yeah, this match was amazing. If we don't eventually get a decider, I'm pretty content with what we got with this one. But yeah, very, 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 very good match.
It's funny because me and Parker actually have we agree on everything, which is crazy. Like in wrestling. Yeah, I couldn't disagree with him more on this. This match was like generational. Like this match made me feel things like I didn't know I had. My God, like this is how Omega Ospreay at the Dome made me feel. I thought the Forbidden Door version was a lot better than the Dome. Personally, I know I'm in the minority on that. But no, this match was great. Wow, like Okada he is so generational because when he wants to be the best babyface, he can be the best babyface. When he wants to be the best heel, he can be the best babyface. And I think Danielson's actually similar with that. They're just two very good wrestlers who can play whatever role, is put in front of them, This match, I mean, it was kind of taken from us at Forbidden Door because Danielson hurt his arm. But here, he just had a silly eye patch on, so he was perfectly fine. This match was amazing. I gave it 5 stars because I only really go up to 5, but if I went up higher, it'd probably be higher. This match was unbelievable, and this was my match of the night. And I thought, and after this match, I was like, okay, that overshadowed the main event, and then we'll go on to the main event. But I had the same feeling I had last year. I was like, try and follow that.
Interesting. I think that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know. Like, it was great. I don't know. Like, watching, for example, even like Mayu versus Shuri from this past was more exciting and more hitting, and comparing it to, if we're comparing it to like Osprey Omega, I thought both were like, my jaw was on the floor, and this was like, wow, this was more like, wow, that was awesome. It's nitpicky. It was fantastic, and I don't have anything to complain about. I guess I should say. The main event, Sonata getting his first Wrestle Kingdom main event, defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against the G1 Climax winner Tetsuya Naito, and it was Naito who stood tall over his former LIJ compatriot after what I thought was yet another fantastic Tokyo main event. It was incredible. It was great. We got AO going crazy. Naito. And he's going freaking crazy in the comments, and for good reason, because the crowd was out of their minds for the final few minutes of this match, and it was the loudest I've heard a Japanese crowds be since before the pandemic. It was great, and I thought the wrestling itself was really great too. Great Muto callbacks from Sonata, going for the moonsault, going for the Shining Wizard, and all that type of stuff. But I thought Sonata stood up. I thought he lived up to the billing of being a Wrestle Kingdom main eventer. There was concerns that he wouldn't, but I thought he easily held his own, and Naito got the win in the Tokyo Dome for the second time in 5 years.
Yeah, I was really happy with this match. I was, as I think we all are, we're some of the few Sonata defenders. I know he wasn't the most popular guy going into Wrestle Kingdom, and it was evident the crowd were fully behind Naito in this one. I think that played a big part in it. But absolutely, both guys fully lived up to this, because as another Naito as well. Didn't have everyone's full backing, going into this. Obviously, he doesn't kind of wrestle at 100% in every match. I think that would be an understatement. T-shirt Naito is pretty notorious, but I had no doubts that at the main event of the Tokyo Dome, both guys would step up to the plate. It wasn't kind of anything, it wasn't anything too, kind of brave in the way they laid it out. It was pretty standard, what you'd think of in a Wrestle Kingdom main event and kind of its approach and structure, but both guys kind of played their parts perfectly. Sonata, I think, is one of the best bases in wrestling to kind of allow the other guy to get their stuff off. And I think against Tetsuya Naito, that worked pretty well. And obviously, there was a little mishap with the closing stretch, but I don't think it hammered it too much. The crowd fully behind Naito. So when he got that big win, they erupted. And I think that was the perfect way to cap off, a very, very good night of wrestling. Naito gets the win. Obviously, we have the roll call at the end, and we'll get into the kind of the post-match stuff afterwards. But Murph, what did you think about this one?
This match was like eating like a steak, like a really nice steak, while getting just kicked in the nuts the entire time. Like, you're enjoying the steak, but you're also thinking like, shit, I'm just getting
to be
kicked
clear,
in the nuts this entire time.
If you're a Sonata fan, which I think is like maybe 7% of the viewing audience, but yeah.
Well, if you really like listened closely, like there were a good bit of Sonata fans in the Tokyo Dome. It's just that they weren't very loud, But I heard that there was a huge Sonata section, like they were going crazy for him. But the Naito section was like away fans. But no, yeah, I'm a Sonata fan. I'm gonna be real with you. The whole Naito thing just doesn't resonate with me. Like, it just doesn't click. Like, it's cool. He thinks he's Mexican. Wow, that's so sick. Like, I've never been able to get it. It was a great match, bell to bell, but I've never understood the Naito mystique. There are people on Twitter that yell at me for it. I don't really give a shit. I always thought he was kind of terrible. Terrible. He's not terrible. Not terrible. Terrible is the wrong word. I just kind of think he's overrated. I think Naito's pretty overrated. When I'm thinking of guys I want to win the belt at Wrestle Kingdom, I'm thinking about like Okada, Tanahashi. I'm thinking like go down to like Goto and then put Naito under Goto. Like that's where I am. But Sonata should have won here, but I guess like everyone else wants to hear Naito win. So good for y'all. I thought the bell to bell was great, but but we'll talk about the post match. I didn't hate the post match, but also I just think Naito's. I think he's like Randy. I think he's just overrated personally.
I have to say, like, I was a little puzzled by the choice of Naito winning the G1 and then winning the title here. I just feel like there's like I don't know. I just didn't really understand like it wasn't like a path to redemption or anything. It was just Naito winning and then winning the title again, right? Like nothing. There was no adversity really.
I thought Sonata was the one. He left Lij and went on this path, and I thought the path would be Sonata winning and like saying I conquered I did everything I had to do. That's what I thought. Naito just sits around, doesn't take his shirt off, half-asses tag matches, and then he's able to go into main event, wrestles pretty well. But that scene is like mysterious and cool for most people. That's not me. I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but if Sonata won, I thought it would have been better. But all the people yelling "Nosotros," like that's what you like. That's what you like.
Well, I was just saying that like the 2020 Wrestle Kingdom, the first 2-night one with the double gold dash,
that was perfect.
Was like, yeah, exactly. Like that was
was perfect.
The perfect Naito like coronation.
And you're talking to a guy who in 2018 went to Wrestle Kingdom. I went to Japan to Wrestle Kingdom in 2018, and I was rooting for Naito. I wanted Naito to win the main event. I was rooting for Naito because at that point it was still fresh. But he's been doing the same shit for 4 years. He didn't win there. He won in 2020. That was supposed to be the end of the quest. Oh, but it wasn't the end of the quest. We got to do it again. So the Naito thing, honestly, it's less with Naito and the fact that he's been doing the same shtick for 4 years. Okada's evolved. Tanahashi's evolved. Naito hasn't done shit. He's still the same Naito he was in 2020. That's my problem. He's just rehashing the same story.
So yeah, I didn't care so much about the story. I just thought the match was great. And I'm one of those guys where, for the most part, if the crowd loves somebody, I kind of do too. Like, I just think crowd investment makes matches a lot more interesting. Of course, it's Tetsuya Naito, right? For him, it's pretty rare when somebody's like crazy over like he is, like just not buying into it. So anyway, I think we all like fantastic and words. I think the largest collective groan in recent Japanese and Evil came out and laid out Naito. It was all part to make a good moment with Sonata making the save, essentially the approval from Naito that he so desires, and then Naito doing the call at the end. He was bleeding at the end of the match, the attack, and of course it was a good way to incorporate Evil and Sonata into the Lij roll call without, of course, or anything like that. So I thought it was a good post match and a fitting end.
The thing I was worried about was Sonata was going to lose the belt and then we never hear from him again. He goes back down because some people think he's not good enough. But they kept Sonata involved in it, and now Sonata's going to keep feuding with Naito. So I am okay with that. So I would have wanted Sonata to win, but considering Sonata is being kept a part of it, I understand, and I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the post match. I think I agree. Initially, it was very spooky with Evil because I think obviously he had the win earlier in the night, and I wouldn't have liked it, but I could have believed that maybe they'd have gone down this route.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd have given Evil the
they
first
did it with
challenge.
Kenta 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I was having flashbacks to that moment. I was like, fuck, they've done it again, But no, I really like the incorporation of both Evil and Sonata at the end. I think, like Mev said, it was very fitting to keep Sonata. It kept Sonata looking important, and obviously, we build towards a rematch, and then Naito gets his big roll call ending, which people have been waiting for a long time, and it was a feel good ending to Wrestle Kingdom, which I think for these big shows is always the right way to go.
So I think we're all in agreement. 2 thumbs up for Wrestle Kingdom. I thought it was a great show. Literally nothing bad on it, and I think it had 3 fantastic matches and a couple, low tier, like really good, borderline great matches too. So, yeah, great stuff. Great show. Love New Japan, And I'm also very much excited about the New Japan Battle in the Valley show that they're immediately following it up with, which has literally the best, I would say, the best US card that New Japan has ever put on. Like, this card is crazy. So we won't go super in depth in every match just because there's other stuff we want to get to, namely Stardom. But let's talk about this show. These top 3 matches are crazy. So starting things off, main event is going to be Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay. I mean, come on. That's literally a former Wrestle Kingdom literally a Wrestle Kingdom main event at Battle in the Valley. Feels like to me a bit of a send-off for Ospreay, maybe. He might take a little, although he is on the tour as part of the he's in that steel cage match, I believe, between the War Dogs and the United Empire, but this feels like maybe the last big singles match for Ospreay for a little while. But what do you guys think?
I want to start off just because I was told something, and this could be true, this could be not. But you know how people said Ospreay would continue to work New Japan when he's done? I was told that Ospreay very, very, very much wanted to drop that U.S. title to Shota Umino, and that Ospreay is not on the best terms with the New Japan office because of that decision. I apparently they were going to work until it's done, but that's just the rumors that are floating around. But that match is going to be awesome. So Okada Ospreay, if that's the last dance, that's a pretty good last dance. So make that the last dance, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's got the steel cage match coming up, as Parker pointed out. I think this is probably going to be, like you say, his last big singles match, and almost definitely his last kind of big match on an American New Japan pay-per-view. I think that's pretty nailed on. But yeah, I mean, as far as singles matches go, I couldn't think of many better to kind of send them off with. Kind of his best opponent in New Japan, Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada. So yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping that this one would be for the global title. That's obviously not the way it's going to go, but regardless, I mean, this should be very special. I'm hoping that the production of this show is kind of worthy of the quality of matches that I think we're going to get. I'm hoping it's kind of going to translate, but regardless, I think this should be sensational.
In the semi-main, which this match could main event any New Japan show or any Dynamite like around the country, is going to be Jon Moxley versus Shingo Takagi in a no disqualification match, just for fun, just cause they can, right? This is just, I mean, 2 of the best in the world, and it's going to be stellar. Like, I'm just looking forward to see what they do. Like, I hope they're creative with it and really utilize the no DQ setting, because that's not really something we see a lot from Shingo. Forward to this one as well.
Yeah, Shingo in a plunder setting with Jon Moxley is very intriguing. I think I may have preferred. Well, I don't know. I don't want to speak too soon, because obviously we'll see how it plays out. I would have liked to have seen like a straight match between these two. They're obviously 2 of the best wrestlers in the world, but I have no doubt that Moxley, I mean, is going to be very creative with this, and I'm sure Shingo being in there is going to add a lot of intrigue. So I think it'll be special regardless of how it plays out. But I do hope we get a kind of a straight singles match between these two. But yeah, should be very, very good. I'm very intrigued to see where Shingo is heading in 2024.
We lost Jamie.
Oh no.
So I'll give my thoughts for now.
Yeah, talk about freaking Shingo and Moxley, dude.
I'm Mr. Dragon Gate. I understand it's a tired trope of me bringing it up, but 2 Dragon Gate, things are going into New Japan. They're doing a 5-on-5 cage match, which is one big Dragon Gate thing, and then also this is very little known, but Shingo Takagi's favorite form of wrestling is hardcore wrestling, because Shingo Takagi grew up watching ECW. Shingo Takagi was a big fan of ECW. That was Shingo's favorite wrestling promotion ever, is ECW. So seeing Shingo in the setting, he did a couple of Dragon Gate, like the no rules elimination, like loser must disband matches, including Jimmy's versus Berserk, which I think is the greatest Dragon Gate match ever. But this is a setting where Shingo honestly loves it, and I think Shingo will thrive, because it's not something he really gets to do much anymore. So I think Shingo against Moxley, who's the quintessential American hardcore guy, and Shingo in a setting where Shingo not only is comfortable, he actually loves it. So I think this match is going to be really good, and we get to see some of Shingo's ECW side.
Yep, I think this is going to be great. No doubt, it's going to be excellent. We also have a super unique matchup that I haven't, that I didn't know I wanted until it was announced, and now I'm like, wow, this is going to be great. In Eddie Kingston defending the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship against Gabe Kidd. Should be super physical. Obviously, practically no chance Kidd wins this match, but they had a match a couple of years ago in New Japan Strong that was great. And it was one of those moments where it was one of those like springboards that made people think, oh my God, this Gabe kid is like really good. So 2 years later to see them really going at it like this in a much bigger setting. I mean, both guys have been elevated considerably since that time. I'm looking forward to this one a ton. I think it's going to be fantastic. Jamie,
my Wi-Fi's gone crazy right now. I don't know what
you're good. On. I was just saying that it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I mean, as you said, it's going to be very, very, very physical. I could see I could see a bit of color being involved in this one, maybe. That image of Gabe Kidd from the New Year's Dash show covered in blood is a very, I like that image a lot. Gabe Kidd, I'm a big fan of him. I think as you said, the Kingston match from a couple of years ago on Strong was definitely a big springboard towards where he's at now. So getting to see those two in their current form. I mean, Eddie Kingston looks like he's on top of the world right now, Triple Crown champion. Gabe Kidd looks kind of primed to be the next kind of a big gaijin, the big gaijin heel in New Japan. And everyone's ready for him to usurp leadership in Bullet Club. So I think a big performance here is going to be it's going to go a long way to getting him to that point. Again, I don't see him winning this, but should be another big one for Gabe Kidd and hopefully a big year for him.
This New Japan Strong Openweight Championship for a while I thought was a pretty meaningless title, but now that it's a part of the Triple Crown, not to praise AEW too much because I know Parker's not a big fan of that, but the Triple Crown is a great thing, and I think it's one of the best ideas AEW's ever had because it really elevates every match. Now every match is for the Ring of Honor title, the New Japan Strong, and the AEW Continental Crown. When and I didn't know it was going to be like that, but then I saw on New Japan's website they counted Eddie versus Trent on Saturday for the belt, which means Vikingo theoretically could have had a New Japan title match, which is kind of fun. But no, I think everyone knows Eddie Kingston is going to win this match. But Gabe Kidd being a part of being in this match, Gabe Kidd, if he should, let's say Eddie cooks his knee, Gabe Kidd becomes an AEW and Ring of Honor World Champion. That'd be pretty fun. That would be a pretty crazy scenario where Gabe Kidd is the ROH World Champion. But anywho, this would be a great match. I think Gabe Kidd's really stepped up. Gabe Kidd always had potential, even when he was in WCPW as like a schmuck that would hang out with Prince Amin. That was a very funny time in wrestling. But Gabe Kidd, this would be a great match. And you see, Gabe Kidd has a crazy character, but Gabe Kidd legitimately is like kind of nuts, which is good.
Yeah, he's shoot crazy.
I think Gabe Kidd being legitimate nuts is like probably makes him better, unless he like starts punching people backstage like Phil did. But I mean, Gabe being nuts, like I love that. He has a screw loose, and I think against Eddie, who's also a bit nuts, this will actually be a very good hard hitting match because they might actually be beating the shit out of each other. We don't know.
So we didn't talk about New Year Dash because I didn't watch it, and it was kind of not that notable for the most part. We did get a fun matchup with TMDK going against like the All-Star cast essentially in the main event, but Nick Nemeth was not the only debut to show his face at the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom weekend. On this show, we will see Matt Riddle wrestling his first match for New Japan ever, I believe. And he's going to be taking on, hold on, it's Saber and someone. Yeah, Saber and Tito, right? And he's got a mystery partner. It's weird because like I don't like, okay, full disclosure, I think Matt Riddle is a phenomenal in-ring wrestler, and I also don't know enough about like some of the weird stuff about him to make like an effective judgment on him. On an in-ring perspective, I think he's like literally a perfect fit for New Japan. I think he could be like a world champion for them if he was like could be like sane and consistently like reliable and not like a freak, right? I don't know that that's going to happen. But I will say he is a really like exhilarating in-ring talent when he's on the ball. And I think him and Sabre, I mean, those two have had classics together in PWG. I think that's a great first interaction with him. I'm curious who his mystery partner is going to be.
Hammer,
I don't know if you
Hammer.
you think Alex Hammerstone?
Yes,
big
I
boy.
want it to be Alex Hammerstone. I think he's doing his gimmick where he works everywhere. And fucking Riddle and Hammer, like they're both doing MLW stuff. Like Riddle and Hammer would be so fucking awesome. I mean,
You
like
know,
that
you know who it might be? Who I just thought of is Timothy Thatcher.
fuck off.
Yeah.
That'd be ugh. You know, well, how do you get so excited? How do you think of Hammerstone? Big guy, loves to move, so much fun to watch. And then you say, it might be Timothy Thatcher. He wrestles. He does holds. Like you just ruined that thought for me. But still, Matthew Riddle, he was supposed to work New Japan World Tag League. And then I think who was running the company? Sugabayashi went to PWG and saw him smoking a blunt behind the Reseda. And he said, okay, we're going to have Michael Elgin instead. But, you know, hopefully.
Yeah, I also, Jeff Cobb, I threw that name out. They're the chosen bros, the chat today, but, you know, we'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Hammer.
I'm at a pretty similar spot to Parker with Riddle in terms of kind of like the perception of him. I think there's a lot of messy stuff going on there, and I'm not fully kind of like sure what the correct stance is to take on him because I don't know what's like kind of what the situation actually fully is. In terms of him as like a prospect coming into New Japan, just from like an in-ring level, at his peak, he can be, as Park said, like a very, very valuable asset for them. His closing, like kind of his last couple of months in WWE, I don't think he was anywhere near his best. I don't know, obviously there's a lot of, you know, external situations going on with him there, but in terms of where he's at right now in the ring, you know, I have a few questions there, but if he can find the form that he used to be on, then he could be incredible in a New Japan ring. So very interested to see where this leads.
We also, I mean, there's just so much on this show. I mean, we've got who's almost certainly headed to WWE, defending title against Trish Adora. That could be a title change. Here we've got strong openweight titles up for not the IWGP titles, which is annoying to me. Like, why are there still two separate championships for the heavyweight tag division?
Crazy when there is a match, when they're two different champions from the same company. Like, for example, when Seth Rollins was the world and the United States champion, and he wrestled like twice and defended both. I thought that was so dumb because you see, and you might think this is like a weird opinion, but in my opinion, I think non-title matches are dumb, personally.
No, I agree.
I think if it's in like the G1, that's one thing. But like, or in a tournament. But in my opinion, a champion having a match and it not being for whatever title he holds is so stupid. Because you see, and like, if we're gonna do sports, like in the UFC, like, you ever see, like, would Alex Pereira defend the light heavyweight title? Like, would he not defend if he fought? I just think it's so dumb. And the same, even with Tyson Fury didn't defend against Francis Ngannou. I think if you're wrestling or fighting, your belt should be on the line. But, you know, that's just me. But when you have two champions in the same company and they just had a match for both belts, why not defend both belts? Like, it's just dumb to me. That's just me, though.
All right. So I mean, hopefully the War Dogs win. I almost would rather like he wins just so they can like officially unify the titles or something like that. Like, it's just stupid. I don't know. We got Finlay versus TJP. We have a CMLL match. Like, this would be a Super Viernes main event with Volador and Mascara Dorada versus Rocky Romero and Soberano Jr. We've got Team Filthy against Shota Umino, Fred Rosser, and Jacob Fatu. We've got Stephanie show, she made her name on New Japan Strong. This is like a crazy good card. So I'm really looking forward to it this weekend. I know you guys are too.
Yeah, the Vaquer one is one I'm interested in because I don't think Trish Adora beats Julia. I think Vaquer beats Julia. I think Julia gets one more strong defensive.
That'd be fine by me. I much prefer Vaquer over Trish Adora in terms of yeah. Okay. Let's move to, we'll talk very briefly about the upcoming New Japan tour. This is a very New Japan centric show, but it's also a Wrestle Kingdom review. So beginning tour, of course. Some of the stuff, we got Nagoya in main event. I mean, this show looks fucking terrible. I got to be honest. The main and semi-main are Tamatanga versus Evil and Taiji Ishimori versus Great Okan. That's your main and semi-main. And then it's all tags outside of that. So that sounds awful to me. Couple Korakuen shows. Desperado versus Kanemaru for the junior title. Should be a lot of fun. We got Shota Umino versus Ren Narita main eventing Korakuen. That should be enjoyable as well. And then on another Korakuen, we have a Wrestle Kingdom matchup for the junior tag titles. We also have three War Dogs versus United Empire singles matches, headlined by Finlay versus Callum Newman, who a lot of people in New Japan are really high on right now, especially after his performance against Ishii. The final setup for all the LIJ versus Just Five Guys stuff on this tour, gauntlet match on the Road to New Beginning, day 7. Where it's going to be like one person from one stable wrestles, and then whoever gets beaten, the next person comes out. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then finally, the New Beginning in Osaka is main evented by the United Empire versus the War Dogs in a steel cage match. But we're also, most notably and most exciting for me, getting Brian Nielsen versus Zack Sabre Jr., a rematch from the Dream Slam show for AEW. I mean, oh man, this is going to be so good to get that rematch in Japan. Oh, I just can't wait.
Huge.
Yeah, they teased it in a New Year Dash, but I don't think anyone anticipated them throwing it out this soon. Right?
I know.
It was one of the matches of the year last year. I thought maybe they'd hold it off for maybe like a Wembley or a bigger New Japan show down the line, but I'm not complaining. The sooner the better. So I'm ready for it.
So then we will have, actually, it's kind of weird how they structured the shows. We'll have Fantastica Mania immediately following this, and then at the end of that tour, we're getting Naito versus Sonata, the rematch there. So that'll be New Japan's upcoming tour. Guys, are you fine to move on to World Wonder Ring Stardom?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
All right, let's do it. Let's freaking do it, folks. Okay, so last week, we don't really need to talk much about it. We did have the Triangle Derby. This was actually before it wasn't. This was like the night we recorded. I don't think we need to talk about this show too much. It wasn't super notable for me, but the big notable thing was that God's Eye, Shuri Mirai, and Ami Sourei won the Derby, and then subsequently the Artists of Stardom Championships. They did a nice thing where they did a little, angle right before the match where they're like, "What if we made these for the titles?" And then they ended up winning the titles, which was good.
They love those angles.
Yeah, they love that stuff. So, of course, once Julia and company lost those titles, though, which, by the way, I thought was a very good match, easily the best match on that show, I thought, we had a very interesting and compelling 2-match stretch here at Stardom New Year Gate the following night at Tokyo Dome City Hall. So let's talk about the semi-main event first. It's Micah and... Did I type this wrong? It was Micah and Julia, right? Against Suzu and Megan Bain?
No, I think it was Micah and Megan Bain versus...
Yeah. See, I don't know how I got that wrong because it's wrong. Anyway, so this is going to... Here, a little peek behind the curtain. Folks, the spreadsheet is back. I've been doing the spreadsheet. But I'm not posting it because it makes it feel like a chore instead of a fun thing to do for me. I watched it just the other, but I listed it wrong on my spreadsheet, so I got confused there. But it was Micah and Bain against Julian Su.
Yes. Yeah. Super.
Okay.
Super physical. go on. So my Wi-Fi's being really jumpy, so you're kind of like breaking up
Jamie,
for me, and I don't know where.
Jamie, you go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have like a ton to say on this. I have more on the kind of the post match from this, but super physical as expected. I mean, more interactions between Micah and Suzu, kind of teased that we're going to get more between them later in the line. I mean, those two have great chemistry. Julia mixing her up again with Megan Bayne after their Queendom match again was interesting to see. And then the kind of the inverse of those two, Julia mixing up with Micah, with the kind of the closing. Julia's Stardom career appears to be coming to an end for now. We move to the WWE, so I think a showdown with Micah is one that will be very compelling given their current stance. But just super hard hitting stuff throughout. Kind of an anticipated result with the time limit draw, but a very, very fun match. And then obviously the post match we're going to get into. But what did you think about this one, Parker?
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I have to say the highlight for me, outside of obviously the stellar main event, commentary, and it was great. I thought Stuart Fulton is my favorite commentator in wrestling. I think he's fantastic. I think it's clear that he's not the most tapped in like wrestling, but he more than makes up for things. Number one, he's so passionate. Like he loves getting over whatever's happening in front of him. He also he uses the right resources to do research. He very obviously has Cage Match open when he's doing commentary, which is good because that's like where the best resource for learning about like past wrestling and things like that. And then finally, he's a great translator too. Like he gets across the gist. He's not trying to give you every single word. He's able to get across the translation. So I just thought he was great in this match. He clearly did his research about the history and the interactions between these four who've all kind of had their stardom careers intersected with each other in various ways. And I thought his commentary here was beautiful. And of course, his translation after the match was essential for a viewer wanting to know what was going on with one of the bigger stardom story developments in a long time.
Yeah, before I get into it, I mean, absolutely agreed on Stuart Full. I think he's one of the few commentators that like actively adds to moments when they happen, which a lot of commentators struggle with. But he's amazing, and absolutely, he was never very needed. I think a lot of big stardom angles, I'm kind of crying out for a translator, and I'm like frantically refreshing Twitter for some sort of update. But yeah, post match, Julia is joined by Donna Del Mondo, stablemates, obviously Micah, Mai Sakurai, and Tekla. Obviously recently lost the artist titles we just mentioned, but Julia announces that Donna Del Mondo is disbanding, effective immediately, which is, I mean, it came as a little bit of a shock. Obviously, Julia, we anticipate is heading away from WWE, but I don't think anyone kind of expected this soon. Thought it may have been a little bit of a later thing when she was heading out. But yeah, I mean, it's very intriguing for the direction of all involved. I think it kind of is the nail in the coffin that Julia is leaving. But in terms of the other ones, we've been looking at a potential Micah faction for a little while. I think that's now evident that that's going to happen, more than ever, especially as a Red Belt champion. She's not going to play second fiddle to anyone else in a faction. For me, the more interesting thing is what does Suzu do? Because for a long time, Suzu seemed nailed on to join Donna Del Mondo. Obviously, now that's out of the question. And there was also a time where it seemed like that she could be in a Micah faction. I don't know if that's 100% going to be the case anymore, considering how those two have played. I don't think it's out of the question. But with the amount of players currently unaffiliated in Stardom, I think, could there be room for two factions to sprout up here? One led by Micah, one led by Suzu. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. We obviously have Micah, Suzu, Mai, Tekla, and then all the Mai Sarah, and then all the rookies who are currently obviously factionless. So it'll be very interesting to see what pops up. But I think this is very. I do like when the factions are mixed up in Stardom because I think it gives you a whole host of new kind of angles, teams, and trios to play around with heading into the new year. So as much as the circumstances aren't ideal with Julia leaving, I'm very interested to see where this goes.
Murph, I don't know if you saw the comment. Pep said, "Time for a draft." Anyway,
a Joshi draft. Oh, the Stardom draft. Oh my God! If I want to buy Stardom, and then I'm gonna bring back the draft. I'm gonna bring back the produced shows with like the dance competitions and the John Ken tournaments. The fucking John Ken tournaments, dude. Oh my God! Like you guys watch wrestling now on Stardom. I didn't watch Stardom for the wrestling. I watched for the fucking Jonkin tournaments, dude. Like they were just different. The Stardom draft. Oh my God. Paps, you made me cry. Honestly, I'm getting emotional here. Oh, with Brandy Rhodes. Oh my God. Good time. Chardonnay. Oh.
All right. Thanks, Peps. I appreciate the comment there. You gave Murph some passion here. But this was not so I will have to say, just a little retrospective on DDM here. Awesome stable. Great stable.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the probably the defining stable in New Japan over the last, 3-4 years that it's been active. Julia has been their most important at that time. Of course, it sprouted Shuri as well, Micah, to all three founding members went on to become red belt champion, which is insane for a faction to be like that. But so many wrestlers have made stops on there. Mirai was a white belt champion, incredibly pushed. Natsupoi as well was debuted in that stable. Tekla and Mai Sakurai, two of the final members in the stable. And Mai Sakurai in particular got extremely emotional, and I think for good reason, because when she was in Cosmic Angels, she floundered. She was like considered to be the worst wrestler in Stardom, but when she joined DDM, she became a lot better. And then over the last 6 months or so, she developed a new character that immediately made her one of the most over wrestlers on the roster. And I think this stable has been so important in making that happen. I still laugh at Donna Del Mondo because Donna is singular in in Italian, so it's just woman of the world, not women of the world. But excellent stable, and I'm glad that it's disbanding, because it's not like Queen's Quest where you can imagine a Queen's Quest without Io Shirai. You can't imagine a Donna Del Mondo without Julia. It's not possible. So she did her own roll call at the end, including all past members, and it was a nice retrospective. I thought a very good send off for an excellent stable. So yeah.
A big week for roll calls.
Big week for
big day for roll calls.
Big night.
Happened on Jump 4.
Yeah, I wonder if they were happening at about the exact same time. I guess the Stardom one would have been a bit earlier, but so okay. But anyway, unfortunate that Julia is leaving, but there's Stardom has continued to show opportunity in moments like this. So just another shot. I have to shout out really quickly. I watched, obviously, on the Triangle Derby show, they had the future tournament, the rookie tournament. Yuzuki is so good. She's so good for her experience level. I am completely with you, Jamie. I am all in on Yuzuki. She is fantastic. She just, the passion is there. She's just one of those people she just gets it. She's 18 and she gets it. So I'm fine with her taking a year to just chill out and learn from all the great wrestlers on the draft. But I am they've on their hands. I've been pretty underwhelmed with Lady C and Miyu Anosaki, and even I don't think Hanako's very good, frankly. That'll make some people mad, but Yuzuki, she's a star. She's a keeper right there.
Who's better, Hanako or Toga?
Well, probably Hanako. But that's I don't know how much that's saying. Who's better, Lola Vice or Hanako?
I think only Jamie can answer that.
No, I don't know anything about Lola Vice.
Vice City, baby, Vice City.
No, but I'm absolutely with Parker on Yuzuki. I'm actually pretty high on the two other new rookies. I mean, we haven't seen as much of them as of yet. I think Rana Yagami, she kind of has a style that I can get behind. She's kind of a bit of a Konami-esque wrestler in her style, I think. Whereas and then Sayaka Kurara is kind of your typical baby face. She has a really nice spear, I think.
Nice.
And so I'm very interested to see how the kind of career trajectory of these lot go. Yuzuki's absolutely the wonder kid of the group, and we have another one coming pretty soon. I believe her name's Rian. She has pink hair. I don't know when she's debuting. There's also Minami Komomo, who was meant to debut a long, long time ago with Hanako and Aya Sakura. We have heard nothing on her, but she has been like second in a few shows. So I don't know when she's back, but you know, I hope she's doing all right. She apparently got an injury, but yeah.
We're running low on time, but I have to talk about the main event on this show, which was Mayu Iwatani defending the IWGP Women's Championship against Shuri in an instant classic. I think this match was incredible. I think this match was better than each of the top 3 matches at Wrestle Kingdom. This match was unbelievable. So violent, so much energy, just a classic performance. Like you're thinking, okay, in your head, what is going to be a great Mayu performance and a great Shuri performance in a match like this? Whatever you pictured, that's what they gave you. Dramatic, great near falls at the end. Hot crowd, super hot crowd. Stuart Fulton on commentary again. He's just putting everything over. Like he's obviously he's well versed in MMA, and so he's a great commentator for people like Shuri, where he's able to actually identify what she's doing a lot of the time, which a lot of commentators aren't. I thought this match was so freaking good. It's like must watch. Like if you haven't seen it, you have to go watch it. It's as good, if not better, than what you think. If you're thinking Mayu versus Shuri, Jamie, I hope you agree, because I'm just like I got nothing but great things to say about this one.
Absolutely agree. 2023 for Stardom, we got off to a very, very slow start with the Triangle Derby. Thankfully, they kept it brief this year, and I'm happy to say that 2024, from our starting point, appears to be we're setting off on a much better track. This was an incredible singles match, as I think everyone pretty much expected it to be. I mean, it's arguably, I think, in my opinion, the best women's wrestler of all time versus Shuri, who for the last couple of years has been right up there as arguably the best women's wrestler in the world right now. She had 2 years where I think she was definitively the best women's wrestler in the world. And they never miss when they're on the big stage, and this was no exception. Shuri super violent, and Mayu also brings it. The pace from the start was pretty frantic, and as they kind of build it, they build and build until the kind of closing stretch where it slows down a little bit to add a bit more drama to it, and kind of the moves become bit more impactful, especially a couple of Mayu Iwatani headbutts on the top rope, which were they were something, those headbutts. But Iwatani gets the big win with one of my favorite finishes I think possibly my favorite finisher in wrestling right now, the top rope Poison Rana. She busts it out very rarely, and it's always at the big spots, but when she does, it's spectacular. And what a way to kick off 2024 for Stardom. As I said, they had a slow start, but this was back on track, and a great start.
Murph, you got to watch it. But in the meantime, it's that time, everybody. Beast of the Week. Yes. Okay. Jamie, kick us off, please.
My Beast of the Week is from Wrestle Kingdom, from the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, but it is not Tetsuya Naito. My Beast of the Week is Sanada, former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Came into this one with not a ton of belief. Came in, but he did look like a star walking in with the nice red gear. Then he absolutely stepped up to the plate and delivered in the match. Obviously didn't pick up the big win, but then the cap on moment of why he is my Beast of the Week is because he saved us from a very spooky close to Wrestle Kingdom. And what capped off what I thought was a pretty perfect moment to close out the show, with that Shining Wizard. I was totally worked. I didn't see it coming. I forgot he was there. I was like, fuck, Evil's done it. That's it. So when he hit that Shining Wizard, I left out my chair, like, fucking get in. It was like a Liverpool had scored the last minute winner. I was very, very happy. And like we said, he's going to be kept in the title picture moving forward. So I'm happy for Sanada. He proved a lot of people wrong. He's my Beast of the Week.
What are you guys thinking for collective? There are so many great performances in the last
Chuck
week.
Dempsey.
Chuck Dempsey.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Yeah, that'd be good.
It was a joke.
Yeah, no, we got it. All right, Charlie Dempsey is
the ace of NXT. Let's go.
Yeah, all right. Good call. I watched that match today. It was good. My Beast of the Week, we just talked about her. I got, it was tough. I couldn't decide between Mayu and Shuri, but you got to go Mayu in this. I've been such a Shuri fan over the last couple of years. Weirdly, since her title reign actually got going, but I think this match was all. Obviously, Shuri was incredible in it too, but she was just such a baby face, and I think she was just a fucking beast. She took all these freaking headbutts, which is not normally her game. Like, that's very much a Shuri thing. So to see her match, that was pretty cool. So I'm going Mayu.
You see, I had my Beast of the Week locked in last week, but you see, he became even more of a Beast of the Week since we last met. So my Beast of the Week last week, he's actually now a friend of the show because he said Russell Pierce does a lot of great things in wrestling. And then today, he started tweeting like a beast. So my Beast of the Week is the man who saved wrestling, as he likes to be called. My Beast of the Week is Tony Khan.
Okay.
My Beast, so Tony Khan, and he also splashed the cash on Mercedes Moné, allegedly, which I'd be a big fan of if that's true. Tony Khan, what a week for TK, He also left Ibu hanging, which there's a video of that on Twitter. It made me laugh very much, which is huge. He also said Russell Pierce is great. He's a friend of the show. And then today he started tweeting like a beast. Like, fuck the Fed, let's go. Like, Tony Khan, like, he's Beast of the Week. By far, not even close. As the JPEG rapper, I don't forget what his name is. Mickey, my little brother loves him. He says, like, laughing to the bank, I'm Tony Khan. Like, Tony Khan, let's fucking go. As he says, let's fucking go.
See, that's great and all, but Liverpool are putting the boots to Fulham tomorrow, so that's unfortunate.
Oh, you see, the Steelers, the curse of the terrible towel, did it. So, I don't agree with Tony Khan's sports teams, but he's a pretty good wrestling booker. So, Tony Khan for the win. And he's my Booker of the Year. Russell Pierce, I say Tony Khan, Booker of the Year.
Anyway, it's going to be that show for us. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Sorry about some of the connectivity stuff. I saw some comments that were like, it's a little choppy here and there. So hopefully that's just a StreamYard thing. Hopefully it's back to normal next week, but we appreciate all of you tuning in regardless. And yeah, we had great viewership. I love that all of you enjoyed Wrestle Kingdom, and we got a ton of stuff. We got freaking Go Shiozaki versus Keno for the GHC Heavyweight Championship this weekend. Of course, we got Shingo versus Mochi in just a little bit. We have Shun versus Yo the following night in Dragon Gate. We have the Saito brothers versus Nakajima and Hokuto Omori for the tag titles. We have freaking Utami and Saya against Suzu and this weekend as well. So, I mean, we got a lot of good wrestling over the next week, and we're excited to review it for you. So, for Jamie, for Murph, also for Tony Khan, this has been Dumb Guy Live. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay dumb.
Stay dumb.